219! 219!
Forward Progress, a Chicago Bears podcast with Dan Bernstein and Matt Abaticola on 312 Sports.
You got it. Forward Progress, 312 Sports. Bernstein, Abaticola, and the Bears are dealing with the aftermath of an alarming opening night loss at home. And today, we're going to sort of settle into what is going to be our weekly pattern here. Usually it'll be on a Tuesday rather than a Wednesday. But I think it's our job to break down the answers that this coach is giving to questions about his first game, his first loss, and his first time getting pantsed as a coach at the NFL level. He was completely outcoached. His team, when it mattered, was completely outplayed, and now he's got to answer for it.
Yeah, so I have all this sound from Ben Johnson. He met the media and kind of reflected on game one, that head coaching debut, the loss to the Vikings on Monday Night Football. I've listened to it several times, Dan, and I have several thoughts on things. And when we get through everything, there's a bunch of cuts we'll get through. Want to talk about Ben Johnson, the head coach. Okay. But let's start it off, and we'll let Ben Johnson speak for himself. And these are his opening comments from his press conference meeting the media. In just 1 second.
Went back, watched the tape, and some good football on tape, but too much inconsistent stuff that popped up that we'll address, we'll clean up, and we'll keep it moving. Effort wasn't an issue. Those guys did a good job playing hard and competed the whole night. But the execution's got to improve, particularly there in the fourth quarter. Told the players last night that we got a short week, and we'll head on to Detroit. So really, they're on their own here today, player day off, and then we're going to go ahead and turn the page here quickly because we got our first road game at hand. But it's a good opportunity for us to really define who we want to be on the road. We kind of talked about that in the preseason against Kansas City and didn't have the results that we were quite looking for. So this would be a good opportunity for us to get deep in our preparation and look to compete for another division opponent. Good news is no one got hurt last night. No injuries of consequence, so that was one bright spot from the game.
Okay, first of all, DJ Moore got hurt.
DJ Moore did get hurt.
They can say whatever they say. I saw him get hurt. I saw him on the field through an entire commercial break.
Yeah, so keep that in mind, that end portion there about no one getting hurt, no one getting significantly hurt, no significant injuries.
Okay, it's an NFL game. People got hurt. We saw DJ Moore get hurt. There was turn the page again.
Yes. That's one of his things.
Now, this is effort.
Now, remember, we talked about this. Get on the same page, then turn the page.
Right. Very important, because
yes.
they said we weren't on the same page in some things. Can't turn it till you're on the same one.
Correct. Well, you can. It would just be bad.
Effort wasn't an issue. Execution's got to improve. Now, what that means, no matter what we hear later about parceling out blame, accepting blame, being self-critical, classic coach speak, execution's got to improve. That means my plan is correct. They just have to carry out my plan better. Which, the irony of that's also coaching.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, because when you talk about not being on the same page, that's coaching.
Yep.
When you talk about missed opportunities and guys not being in the right places, that's coaching.
I have too many notes already for 30 seconds of a press conference.
All right. So we'll continue on, and these have questions and answers. And so I'll fire these off for you, Dan, and we'll talk. This is a question about Caleb's accuracy, and we'll go from there with Ben Johnson.
It seems as though with Caleb's off-target throws, they seem to come in spurts. Is that a question of getting him to settle down, or do you see something else?
Yeah, I'm still getting to know the player. I thought he started off really well early in that game, and then it certainly, as the game went, seemed to fizzle a little bit, and then towards the end he came to life again. And so, that's something that we'll have to work through. I'll see how I can help him through the play calls or what's being said on the sideline to just keep him in the best spot and help him out and support him the most, and we'll go from there.
First couple things.
Yes.
The player.
Yep. Still getting to know the player.
Not Caleb.
Right.
The player. And he made it clear that he needs help understanding the play call or however.
Well, he said he could help him better with certain play calling. So there's a lot there. First of all, I'm still getting to know the player. Like, you are the top offensive genius coming out of this offseason, right? Mm-hmm. As the head coach. You should know who Caleb Williams is by now.
And be fixing what's wrong.
Correct. You should have known who Caleb Williams was before you took the job. That's why you take the job,
That's why you said you took the job.
Right, because you knew who Caleb Williams was. You had all offseason and a few preseason games, one he didn't play in, to figure out what he does well and what you need to do as far as play calling to help him be a better quarterback early in this season.
The player. Okay.
I didn't like it.
Okay.
I didn't like it one bit. But if you're still learning who the player is, like, what's our learning curve here? I mean, is it 8 games?
Let's be fair.
Is it 7 games?
If we say you don't really learn a player until coaching him in regular season games.
Sure.
Okay? That is granting that as a coach, until you put in a game plan, there's an opponent that is trying to knock his block off, and you begin the learning process in the regular season when the live fire starts. Then that next question is, how long until you know him?
Yeah.
A full season?
Because that is fair. And I'm glad you said that, because I had that in my brain. That is fair, because watching him in practice and coaching in practice is very different than coaching in games. Yep. I get that. And so I will allow that. Yes, absolutely.
Look at me being the voice of reason.
Right. You being the voice of reason. I thought it. You said it first. But that's the next correct question. Oh, well, then how many games will it take to learn who this player is?
Did anyone ask that? Because immediately,
not in this press conference.
Immediately when he says, I'm still learning the player, that next question should be, how long do you expect it to take to have a satisfactory learning of the player?
And that's a hard question to answer, I think. But I think a good question would have been, well, tell me what that process is like in learning the player. Like, what does that look like? Because I've never been a head coach in the NFL.
I don't even think you need to say, tell me. Say, what is that?
What is that process?
What is the process of learning the player?
Right.
Where are you in it?
And if he were to say, like, the answer would be, oh, that's us watching game film together of actual real live games. Mm-hmm. All right, well, then how many of those games or how many of those sessions do you think it would take before you learn who the player is? Or I would say learn who Caleb is.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So next one is about Caleb and his ability to run during a game.
Their estimated ability to really turn on the Jets. And so we've got a number of athletic players on our defense, and I saw it all throughout training camp, him being able to break the pocket, and some of our athletic DNs or linebackers, he's able to extend the play that way. So that came to life last night, and we certainly needed those rushing yards. We were drying up a little bit there in the running game, and so he was able to help complement that and move the sticks.
All right, hang on one second, Dan. Let me play that one again. Hang on.
Caleb obviously did some damage with his legs last night. I'm curious, in the time that you've been with him, what has struck you about the speed that he has in open field?
He's got the elusiveness in the pocket, and then I think he's got underestimated ability to really turn on the Jets. And so we've got a number of athletic players on our defense, and I saw it all throughout training camp, him being able to break the pocket, and some of our athletic DNs or linebackers, he's able to extend the play that way. So that came to life last night, and we certainly needed those rushing yards. We were drying up a little bit there in the running game, and so he was able to help complement that and move the sticks.
All right, he doesn't want him running.
No, he doesn't want him running.
It's clear to me that the running game should take care of itself without needing quarterback rushing yards, when the first thing he references is elusiveness in the pocket.
Right.
This offense comes down to the quarterback being, in large part, in the pocket unless otherwise designed.
But it was interesting at the end of that comment, he talks about how it complemented the actual running game. It complemented the running game because we needed those yards. We got kind of stale. But the only reason he ran is because your pocket broke down. You couldn't protect him, and he had to. Otherwise, he's getting murdered.
It also...
That's not a positive thing.
No.
Now, the fact that he turned it into a positive outcome and gaining yards That's not part of your designed playbook.
It also brings into question his ability to read the field. That's the other aspect there. Is he running because he's deciding not to throw where you want him to throw?
Correct.
And you can say after the fact, yeah, we needed it. Yeah, it supplemented or complemented our yardage total. But we saw from his facial expressions that Ben Johnson certainly would prefer that he allows the play to develop and only to the point where it's time to release the football.
Yeah, and I don't think that's something that we would get, that he wouldn't share that with us. Like he and Caleb going over plays and saying, all right, well, you missed DJ here. He was wide open for about 7 yards.
Why aren't your eyes on him?
And you missed him, and then you ran instead. That's not the play we want. Like the pocket wouldn't have broken down, and you wouldn't have been under pressure had you thrown that ball 2 seconds earlier.
Correct.
When he was wide open and no one was near him. How did you miss that? Why did you miss that? What are you not seeing?
What do I need to, or what do we need to put in, or what kind of cue, what kind of visual training? Look, they've got that whole VR set up there with the goggles and everything. You could put him in that lab, in QB lab, and over and over and over and over again. Keep showing him, here's where your eyes are. He's open now. He's open now. Throw it. He's open now. Throw it. Throw it again.
Right.
Like this is, you got to teach this stuff if it's teachable.
And again, but how do you teach something when he's seeing it too late? Is that something that can be corrected?
We're going to find out.
Or is it Bajent time?
Don't troll.
I'm not.
Yeah, you are. You know what that's? Don't unleash that. You don't want that.
Unleash the hounds.
You don't want that.
All right. So he was asked about the wasted timeout in the fourth quarter.
The 4th and 3 in the second quarter.
Or second quarter.
You guys had to use a timeout before actually running the play. What did you diagnose today, both on the procedure of having to use that timeout there and then on the actual misfire of the throw?
Yeah, that was the timeout itself. I was late getting the call in, and that's my own issue. But we knew we wanted to go for it. We felt good about that call. Caleb, we talked about it this afternoon. That's one of the few that he would like to have back.
Timeout was on him.
Wait,
Didn't get the call in.
Then why would Caleb like to have it back?
Because it was a bad throw.
Okay, but he's not saying. All right, but he's taking the blame for it being late.
He's taking the blame for the wasted timeout because he couldn't get the call in
Right.
time.
Okay.
Then you get the throw,
Right.
which was a horrible throw,
Right,
and that's
terrible
one
throw.
of the few that Caleb would like to have back.
Okay. It would really surprise me if Ben Johnson, of all people, is getting a play in late.
Correct. So what is that right there? Because this is what I thought. I thought that he's just taking the blame.
That already
That one's on me.
Already he's using up his shields. However many shots he can take for Caleb.
Yeah.
And say that's not on him.
Because that like you said, it doesn't fit what we know of Ben Johnson. I would be really surprised that Ben Johnson is late getting a call in.
Unless, again, let me play devil's advocate here. I agree with you, it's unlikely. But let's just say that Ben Johnson is learning about head coaching. And that maybe there was possibly something else, some fire he had to put out, some information he was getting regarding what was going to happen on the defense the next series. I don't know how he chooses to process information and how he self-selects his inputs. Who gets to tell him what and when? Maybe it's possible that he's like, yeah, you know what? I got distracted. I had something else come up. I was putting out a fire over here. I was talking to somebody. I'm just trying to give him a little bit of grace in the possibility that he's learning how to streamline his own sideline operation.
Okay, that's fair because we talked about on DBU this morning that I kind of didn't allow him the grace that maybe he needs of learning how to be a head coach. That I had higher expectations for him in this game than I really should have.
Everything changes after the ball's kicked off.
No, you're right. But so there's a cut I want to go to because it kind of gives us some insight too, as far as the buck stops here. I make the decisions. It's my team. It's my process. So listen to this. This is a question about the challenge, the bad challenge play that he had.
On the challenge, on the Hawkinson play, it looked like Noah Sewell dislodged the ball. What did you see on that to throw the flag?
Yeah, I thought I saw knees up, and so that's on me. I got to do a better job listening to the guys up top. I get influenced a little bit for the first time with the people around me, and I got to stay true to the process.
Okay, so there's a little bit of both. There's a little bit of the people around me.
Yeah, so he got a little influenced by the people around him on the sideline. We got to challenge that, coach. Got to challenge that. His knees were up. His knees were off the ground.
They
that ball
clearly
came
were
out.
not.
They clearly were not. And the guys up
I can
top,
clearly see your nuts.
the guys on top,
Yeah.
the guys in the booth are saying, no, he was down. He was down. That's what I'm hearing there. Guys around him on the sideline, you got to challenge that. Got to challenge that. I was influenced by the people around me, but the guys up top, he goes, I have to trust the process.
All right, let them do their jobs then.
Let them do their jobs.
Okay,
That up in the booth. Nope, you can't challenge that.
you get excited.
We
on the
see it better than you
sidelines,
do.
and everybody likes to see what they want to see in those regards. Don't listen to the fans, as they say, or you end up sitting next to them.
Which I guess depending on your seats might be a bad thing, right?
Or who the other fans are. Oh my God! Our first season tickets are the woman that used to or the guy that used to chain smoke, and the foul-mouthed woman in the Schurz High School windbreaker. Every Bears game. Growing up.
You guys have seats still?
No, my dad let him go. There was a PSL thing, and eventually he's just
Oh.
like, I'm not doing this anymore because we initially were on the 35-yard line on the east side, and then when they redid the end zones, he was able, I think, to add a seat if we moved.
Yeah.
We moved to the north end zone, which I actually loved. That's when I learned football.
Okay.
That and my first year on the beat, being able to talk to Bears coaches and really learn it. But I began to understand blocking and angles when we had end zone seats.
Did you go to a lot as a kid?
Oh, yeah, almost every home game.
Oh, really?
It was our whole day.
Wow.
Yeah. That's what we did. Those were Sundays. We packed everything up and we got sleeping bags. And before there were chemical hand warmers,
Yeah.
these hand warmers like asbestos lined, like a giant locket that had asbestos in it. It was a metal box that would snap closed, and you would
Okay.
literally light a fuel stick, and the fuel stick would warm this box, and you'd have one in each pocket to keep your
Okay.
hands warm.
All right. Oh, yeah, I don't think I knew that you went to like almost every game.
Oh yeah,
Wow.
we saw some awful football,
Oh yeah, I bet.
horrible
I
football.
bet.
Yep.
All right, here was another question about he gives his full evaluation of Caleb in his first start here as head coach.
How did you assess Caleb as far as going through his progressions and then the actual throwing accuracy?
It was up and down. We had mixed results. There were some things that he did that were top notch, and I would put him up there with some of the best in the NFL.
What?
He had a couple throws with guys in his face that he delivered on target that were very tough. I thought he did a good job evading when he felt pressure. And yet there were still some that we would like to have back. There were probably 3 or 4 of them that we counted on tape that at a minimum that we would want back. And so, he came up today, we chatted for a while, and he's very self-reflective on it and critical of himself. And so it's a starting point for us, and we're looking to get better next week.
It's a starting point. 3 or 4 on tape that we wish we had back
At a minimum,
but other throws
best in the NFL.
best in the NFL.
That first one, like HST, I got it here. Still got the notes. That first one, yeah, but that's not enough. That's got to be every time. If you're already thrown around among the best in the NFL, the best in the NFL don't have that many that they want to have back because you don't get them back.
All right, next one. He's asked about the play of the offensive line.
Hey, Coach, I'm just curious on what you thought about the offensive line and then watching the tape, if you saw the play with Darnell Wright where they called the hold and what you thought on that.
Yeah, I think anytime you don't rush for as many yards as you were hoping for, you look at the stat sheet and it said for over 100 yards, but really a lot of those were from Caleb. So we need more from our runners, whoever that is, receivers or the running back room. It doesn't matter. And so I think in the run game, we were subpar overall. And then protection had spurts of being really good, and then other times where we didn't give Caleb enough time. So, you get down by a couple scores, you make it a drop back game, and it makes it a little bit easier for the defense to tee off on you. That's not where we want to live necessarily. We like to keep them guessing as much as we possibly can. So, we got to make sure that we're still playing with a lead there.
The run blocking was bad. Does he address the fact that each interior lineman individually allowed 4 pass pressures?
No, he did not. He did not, and was not asked. That was not brought up.
Okay, because it wasn't just the run game that was bad. The pocket was breaking down all night. Okay. All right. But look, you've got to a good offensive line can run the ball when the other team knows you want to run the ball.
But it was interesting, though, to hear him talk about getting down by 2 scores, which they did late in the fourth quarter. And then, you make that a drop back game and allow a defense like that just
you
to
were
tee
up
up
17-6.
Yes. You were up 2 scores.
Yeah, I don't want to hear a scenario answer based on the fact that they already blew the game.
Right. You were up 2 scores.
Right.
And then you found yourself down 2 scores late in the fourth quarter. All right, so more on the running game.
With the running game, I'm sure you expected to get more out of that. Is it the blocking, the calls themselves, or what do you think gets more juice out of the running game going forward?
Yeah, well, I would start with this. That was a top 5 run defense from a year ago, and they, in their opinion, they improved their front, and so it's hard to start with, and so you got to give them some credit. But with that being said, we anticipated to be on the same page more than what we were. There were some times that when we made the mic point, we weren't all on the same page. And I think that's a little bit time on task. That's also a multiplicity of fronts that we were seeing this particular week. He makes it very difficult. But yeah, we all got to be on the same page. So the sooner that we can grow as a unit, it's 5 guys all playing as one. And if you include the tight ends, it's 6 or 7 as a part of it as well. I thought Swift ran hard when the ball was in his hands. There's probably a couple reads where he could have hit it maybe a little bit different, but for the most part, I was pretty pleased with how he played.
You're pointing to the wrong middle linebacker?
Yeah.
Well, the mic is not always technically the middle linebacker. It's based on how you count the gaps. But you're misidentifying the fulcrum of the defense that keys your protection and your blocking scheme? What?
And don't forget...
Thanks for the honesty of the answer, though.
Yeah, no,
for
sure.
I have to say,
yeah.
I appreciate him actually answering a question.
I think he's an honest guy. He's a truth teller, and then sometimes catches himself.
For now,
yeah,
I really appreciate that honest answer that you just said that you're not on the same page because you're getting the most important identification that you can have pre-snap wrong. Okay, and
remember he talked about the multiplicity of the fronts they were seeing. Keep that in mind. Keep that in mind.
Yeah,
but remember,
that didn't happen till late.
Keep that in mind. We'll do that next. But remember, he starts off that answer by talking about this is a top 5 run defense. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And the question was, is it play calling? Is it the blocking? Oh, no. You got to remember, it's a top 5 rushing defense, and they think they improved. So I went back. Remember, this is the 5th time. The 5th time now that Ben Johnson has faced Brian Flores. Right, because it was 2 times last year, 2 times in 2023.
Correct.
So I went back to look at what the Lions did as far as rushing against a Brian Flores defense.
Ooh, you brought receipts.
I did bring receipts. So this is the first game in 2023 when they played each other. Lions win 30-24. The Lions rushed 36 times, 143 yards for 3 touchdowns. The second game in 2023, the Lions won 30-20. They rushed 23 times for 70 yards and 2 touchdowns. Last year, the first game they met each other, the Lions win 31-29. They rushed 27 times, 144 yards and 2 touchdowns. And then the final appearance, the final game last year they played each other was the final game of the season. Lions win 31-9. They rushed 31 times, 178 yards for 3 touchdowns.
And that is with a quarterback in Jared Goff
that doesn't run.
Who doesn't run.
Correct.
So that is all the running game.
That's all the running game against what was a top 5 defense that he said last year, top 5 run defense.
Wow.
And they improved this year.
Okay. Well,
but they were a top 5 run defense when they did all of that.
You did it there. Why couldn't you do it here?
So is it a personnel issue? Is it the running back issue? Is it offensive line? Is it play calls?
Is it the fact that you can't properly identify who the mic is and set your blocking scheme accordingly? Wow. Okay. Nice work. What's next?
All right. So remember we talked about, he mentioned there the multiplicity of the fronts.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So let's hear this question and answer about Brian Flores and what he was doing defensively.
Ben, you mentioned last night some of the adjustments that Brian Flores made after halftime. When you went back and watched the tape, what were some of the things that maybe the Vikings were doing differently? And then how did you guys kind of handle that, you think, in the second half?
Yeah, I would say his adjustments really started early in the game. There was less pressure than what he was accustomed to doing. There was more 4-man rush, which probably was a testament to the interior guys he added. He felt like he could get pressure on our quarterback, which is 4 rather than his normal 5 or 6. You saw the first drive, we were able to make it down the field and score a touchdown. And then we kept shooting ourselves in the foot, whether it's penalties, lack of a rushing game. We're in a number of 2nd and longs that turned into 3rd and longs. And that's not a way you want to live, particularly against a good play caller like that and a talented defensive front and secondary like they have. So I don't know that it changed a whole lot at halftime. I just didn't feel like we executed very well in the second half.
I thought it changed a lot at halftime.
It changed a lot at halftime. It changed a lot. He did start the game off by rushing just the front 4, which was successful in getting pressure, but he was able to escape the pocket and create some plays and some yards with his feet, all right? But they got pressure with only the front 4. And by doing so, too, Caleb was also able to check down rather easy. I mean, he started off with the first 2 passes to DeAndre Swift. And they changed the way that they approached it, taking away those checkdowns, bringing more pressure. And, yeah, then you can add more pressure to it and some different looks and send different guys when you do have the lead, which they eventually got in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I didn't
but
see what he saw then.
I thought it changed significantly from the first half to the second half.
Especially because he's talked about how much he prides himself on their ability to adjust. So I don't know that I saw what he saw then. I thought it did change.
All right, then there was a question about Kyler Gordon, which is interesting to hear as well.
And real quick, what happened with Kyler?
Kyler, over the course of last week was starting to feel some tightness. He ended up feeling, we came in on Sunday, I believe, and talked to our trainers about it for the first time. And so we put him on the injury report and felt like he wasn't quite ready to go.
Okay, timeline issues here.
Yeah, that is an issue.
That this wasn't reported to the training staff until the day before the game?
He was feeling tightness all week, but then now, did he finally come in Sunday and talk to the training staff, or was this something they were aware of all week?
Right, did they know he was feeling tightness?
And then Sunday was just like, yeah, I don't think I can go.
I don't know. I don't know what we can presume there. I hope that those lines of communication are wide open for them to say, all right, we'll keep an eye on it, keep us updated after we practice. You're going to come in for treatment. We're going to give you ice and stim and Theragun and whatever else you need to get rid of that tightness. But he couldn't play. And it was a late ad.
Yeah.
You would think that if this were an issue,
it would have been something along the way.
You would have had a full practice designation, but also have said, tightness and something.
Yeah.
At least list a body part.
Or was limited at some point during the week, but yeah, that wasn't the issue. All right, so this was the remember the very first his opening comments talks about no significant injuries. All right, in the
except
game.
we saw DJ Moore get killed.
So then there was a question about DJ Moore.
How was DJ Moore at the end of the game after that hit?
Yeah, I have not got the injury report yet. We're about to have a staff meeting here in just a minute, and I'll have more details there. As far as I know, that through his text messages, he sounded like he was okay.
So again,
wait, hold on. You started out the press conference by saying there were no injuries, and you haven't gotten the injury report yet.
But hadn't seen the injury report yet. But his text message said he's fine.
This is the same team last year that on multiple occasions had traumatic brain injuries reported late in the week that didn't show up. So I certainly put that down as a possibility for all the excuses that were made. Oh, well, sometimes the concussion symptoms come later. And I don't know what happened to DJ Moore or what they tested for, but he was on the field through an entire ad break, lying there. Something happened.
Yeah, and maybe this is just a case where I'm looking too much into it, but he starts off, no significant injuries. Oh, what happened to DJ Moore? Well, I haven't seen the injury report yet. So you can't say that if you don't know, you can't. But again, maybe that's just me, again, going too deep into it, looking too closely at it. I don't know.
At any point, was he asked if there would be any changes to the depth chart or if anything like that was a possibility?
Yeah, he was not.
Okay. And I know his answer would be, it's always a possibility. We evaluate that every week. We always want to make sure that we have the best possible roster and the best possible lineup available for our next opponent. But I'm just curious why it wasn't asked. And the other thing on my list would be regarding that last kickoff.
So here's that cut. So
Okay.
no question on this. He was asked about evaluating his own performance and looking back at things he might want to do differently. But he does address the kickoff here.
Okay.
I just talked about the challenge. That's a big one right there. That timeout in the second half, those things are very valuable. And having that at the end of the game would have been huge for us. I didn't think I called a particularly great game. I could have adjusted a little bit better to the lack of pressure that Flo was giving us. And so I can do a better job there. And then at the end of the game, felt like we could kick it out of the back. We weren't able to get that done. In hindsight, I should have kicked it out of bounds.
Okay. Or someone suggested this to me.
Okay.
With the new rules, if a kickoff doesn't reach the landing area, it's a dead ball, right?
I believe that's correct.
So why not just knock it off the tee? Then no time goes off the clock.
Yeah.
And it's an immediate dead ball, and there's no time at all off the clock. So we all have to get used to what the new rules are on kickoffs. And I don't know how long they give it to establish that it's a dead ball and it didn't reach the landing area. But if you just come up and tap the ball and it falls off the tee, it's dead right there, right?
If a kickoff does not make it into the landing zone, it is treated like a kickoff out of bounds. The play is immediately blown dead, and the ball is spotted at the receiving team's 40-yard line.
Okay, so you don't have to kick it out of bounds.
You don't have to.
You
just make it short of the landing zone.
Just tap it. You don't even need to take the time to kick it out of bounds.
So, but it has to go. Does it have to go further than 10 yards though? Because if you just tap it off, would that be considered?
No, because you haven't declared an onside kick.
Okay, you have to declare. That's right.
So
just kick it short of the landing zone.
Just roll it off the tee.
Yeah, and then it's immediately blown dead and spotted at
Instead
the
of, you
receiving
don't
team's
have to
40-yard
boom it
line.
out of bounds.
Right. Just to be safe, you could boom it out of bounds, and it still goes
But
to the
no, the
team's
rule's the
40-yard
rule.
line. Right. No, you're right. Yeah,
It's off the tee. It's in front of the tee. It's dead. This was brought up to me by an emailer. Speaking of which, we do have an email. I don't want to bury the lead here, but we do. I was going to put this on socials. If you want to email the show, you can email me. It's Dan at 312sports.com. Matt at 312sports.com.
It's pretty easy.
Dan at 312sports.com. Matt at 312sports.com.
All right, so here's a question. This is I love this one, and it was one of the two questions from Courtney Cronin, and this was about the missed field goal and what led up to the missed field goal, and listen to his answers.
Ben, the final 49 seconds of the third quarter with I think it was the hold on Darnell and then the missed throw to Cole and then the intentional grounding. When you watched it back today, what did you notice just about the way that kind of snowballed into then the missed field goal at the beginning of the fourth quarter?
Yeah, when it rains, it pours sometimes, and a lot of times when things are stale, all it takes is one player to make a play, and it just shoots a shock of electricity through the entire team. And likewise, once one bad thing happens, if you're not careful, then that can also be contagious as well and catch fire. And that's what happened. Unfortunate because we were in a good position to score points, at least a field goal there, and then we ended up backing it up and made it a very difficult field goal attempt. So that was costly.
When it rains, it pours. Sometimes bad things happen, and that can catch fire too.
That's awfully passive.
It is awfully passive, and it also shows. And again, maybe I'm getting too granular with it.
That's in your control as a coach.
Yes.
Your job as in those situations
about being prepared
is to take advantage of, make sure you're ready for those things, arrest any sort of erosion of good feeling, and make sure that everybody's mentally prepared to not have that happen.
Right.
That's your job.
That's the job.
Sometimes these things happen. It sounds like the way Ryan Poles approaches a draft. Well, that's what the pick we had, and that's what it came to, and that was on the board. Stop being so passive.
Yeah, but
that's the kind of fatalism. That's our job.
Yes, correct.
We're not coaching. This is sometimes how I feel about Billy Donovan after games.
Okay.
Where Billy Donovan he's got the best seat. He's the best observer of everything that happened. And after a game, he'll tell you exactly what I saw. But I always think, but you're the coach. You're the one person that can do something about it. That's what you're being paid to do.
Yeah.
Now,
so
sometimes these things just get away from you. Why?
Yeah. So when that one thing happens, it's your job to stop it so that the second thing doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Then the third thing doesn't happen, which then leads to the fourth thing, which is a missed field goal and lost points.
Yeah, and then the thing being you lost.
Right. Sometimes these things they catch fire. Oh, when it rains,
put it out.
When it rains, it pours.
I don't need aphorisms from the side of a salt shaker.
No, like you're the smart guy. You're the smart offensive guy.
These things.
Hey, sometimes it rains and sometimes it pours.
It was Vinny Del Negro after the Bulls set a record blowing the largest lead that late in a game in the history of the NBA, and he came out and he goes, "It happens." No, it doesn't. It hadn't until tonight.
That's right. It literally had never happened before.
And his line was, "It happens."
It happens.
Well, it has now.
Sorry, Coach. It never has.
It actually hasn't happened.
Yes, this is the first.
Well, when it rains, it pours.
Yeah, I don't want to again. Maybe my expectations are too high for a first-time NFL head coach. But he's the smart guy. When it rains, it pours, and sometimes those things happen and they catch fire. Well, shit, put that shit out before it catches fire, man. Before it spreads.
I always
you got that little kitchen fire. Keep it contained, dude.
I always think about the scene in the movie Bananas, where the protagonist is a visiting foreign diplomat who is a foreign head of state, and he is assigned his security detail. Like the Secret Service come up to him, they say, "These are your Secret Service men, and they're here to protect you." He's like, "Okay, got it." These two burly men in suits, and immediately a guy runs up to him and smacks him in the head and runs off. And one guy goes, "We missed him. We get most of them." It's like, what already?
Yeah.
Well, I spiraled away from us, that one.
So you know what? And those are all the cuts that we're gonna play from his time that he met with the media.
We're gonna do this every time there's a post game. We're gonna break down stuff.
We have to. Yeah, you have to hear it, and we have to talk through it and listen to it. Because hearing it multiple times, it kind of changes perspective from anger to maybe I'm expecting too much, Dan, and like what is an appropriate learning curve. Although I've seen other guys step right in and do it well. I had higher expectations. I think it starts with the overall game, and we've talked about this, that I didn't expect Monday's game to look like a Bears game. And it looked more like a Bears game than any Bears game I've seen in a long time.
And sadly, he's sounding like a Bears coach.
And sadly, he's sounding like a Bears head coach. It's been settled in for a few seasons.
Let's just be reasonable here.
So help me.
It's one game.
Yeah, it is one game.
He's smart enough to know what he doesn't know. He's going to learn. He's going to be better. There is it's not unreasonable to expect things to improve. And this is me talking.
Yeah, I don't understand what's happening.
I just feel the need to counterbalance some of this. I think it would be.
Well, I'm glad because
I think it would be.
And normally that would be me, but I'm ready. Dude, last night I was ready. I was ready to move on from everyone. I was like, I'm not doing this for another season.
You mean 2 nights ago?
No, last night as I was listening to this stuff.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And I'm like, I'm not ready. I'm not ready to do this again. I can't. I refuse to sit through and watch another quarterback fail. I'm not ready to sit and listen to another head coach not be an NFL head coach. And it's now this morning, it's a little different. So I think my expectations were just too high that I have to allow a bit of a learning curve from an offensive coordinator who's now a head coach for the first time.
Well, I'd be lying if I said I liked a lot of what I heard. I like the fact that he took some blame for some things more than his predecessor, but his predecessor, I don't want to compare him to an all-time dolt.
No,
that's part of the problem.
That's an insult to...
Right. That's... You can't even do it. Throw out Eberflus. Forget everything that happened in the Eberflus era.
Insult to Ben Johnson.
I do not want to stoop to compare him to a blithering idiot.
Right.
But the standards are higher for him for what he's purported to be, what the league has said. It's not just... It wouldn't be just us. It'd be everybody.
Well, yeah, and I need to keep that in perspective, too, because I think what you just said there, that the standard is higher. And for me individually, as I'm speaking as a Bears fan, only me, the standards that I have set for Ben Johnson are the highest that I've had for a Bears coach in my lifetime. And Dan, I've started watching the Bears regularly since 1983. Okay? And this is the highest standard by far that I've ever had for a Bears head coach.
Okay. Coming in. Yes.
Coming in. Yes. The highest standards by far. Not even close. John Fox, they were pretty high standards because I wanted him to make this an NFL football team again after Mark Trestman.
But you didn't know that John Fox had retired.
I didn't know that he was just coming in to, find out new craft beer places to drink in Chicago and be a hell of a guy because I love John Fox. The standards were a bit higher coming out of Mark Trestman, but he did his job. He made it an NFL organization again. He made it feel like NFL football and not Canadian League football. But these are by far the highest standards I have, and maybe it was just too high. Maybe I'm expecting too much of a guy who's still learning how to be an NFL head coach and deal with everything on a daily basis, particularly in a game, what it means to be a head coach.
Well, and I guess you and I are experiencing exactly what I've said about the Bears and what I said at length on today's DBU is making sure that we can understand the alarming nature of that loss and the urgency with also understanding it's one of 17. It was the first one of 17. And maybe they put a floor in here and they recognize there may be some remedial stuff and they've got to undo some things and rethink some things, but at least they've got time to do it.
I'll tell you,
yikes.
One thing I need to see in the game on Sunday, and we'll talk more about it as we start to preview Bears-Lions, and we'll give you the top 10 Lions of all time, too, before the week is up.
Can't wait.
I need to see those open routes that weren't thrown on Monday night. I need to see those at least thrown. If they're not completed, okay, I'm gonna live with that. I'm gonna say, hey, here's a step in the right direction.
If there are some interceptions in there,
I'm okay with that too.
That's okay too,
because those throws have to be there. I need to see. That's one thing. I'm gonna start keeping a list of things I need to see on Sunday afternoon. One of those things being those throws being attempted. Now, if they're not completed or if they're intercepted, I at least need to see that he recognizes these are the routes that were open. Here's the throw I'm making. I need to see those happen.
He's Matty. I'm Dan. That's Forward Progress.
10, 219, 219.
Forward Progress. A Chicago Bears podcast with Dan Bernstein and Matt Abatacola on 312 Sports.